How to become a CMO.
Being good mates, go and have a beer with the people from finance. What do you think about the MBA thing as a CMO?
Who cares about education? Really?
It's oh my god, nice. That's a great statement.
We can get a degree just like down the road really nowadays.
Right.
But other than that, it is literally about experience. So what we're talking about today, guys, is how to become a CMO. So Sarah, you go first.
Well, I mean, I haven't been one myself, but I think the biggest thing which I was talking to you about, what we see as the change is going from being more creative to being more commercial. So the changes in the conversations about numbers, figures, you're looking at base cost, you're looking at profit, you're looking at EBITDA, you're looking at, you know, all of the figures. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, but how do you get that experience? Staying in a company long or changing roles? Because
that's the thing.
What I had
was smaller companies.
Mine was staying. I mean, mine was eventually staying. It was the longest job I had, lol. But it was, then I got the exposure of like being on the board and all that kind of stuff, and then having the conversations and presenting to the stakeholders. The moment you can say that to people, you're like, cool, I've been in a boardroom, blah, 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 I've done this, etc., then you can. But getting a CMO job right, you've got to be in it and then get promoted up. Of course, you could maybe get it at a smaller firm though, right?
I think that's the easiest, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's the smaller firms, you get more visibility, you get more ownership. You know, can you get that at a really large company?
But if it's a small company, it depends on how fast you grow it. Is it reflected in the salary? It might not be reflected in the salary.
Some people are real stayers.
Exactly.
Are you a stayer? Sorry, I could have gone really inappropriate with that just then.
You can say goer.
Yeah, I was like, don't say that anyway. Don't, Ellie.
Stayer.
I want to reverse back to your experience.
No, I was actually going to say something even worse, but sorry.
So going back to your experience, you had really hardcore agency experience, didn't you? Hardcore agency experience.
Base.
And then got into the startup growth business.
That's the thing. Everyone's like, get out of agency eventually. Obviously, don't get out of it. It's awesome. It's epic when you're younger. And then if you really want to go for a brand, I loved going into a brand. So everyone's like, what's it like being in a brand?
Yeah.
Went to a brand and then you're like, oh God, you feel like you're missing out on it because you're an agency world and you're like at the forefront of like going to Google events and talking about everything, and you're going out for drinks with all like, my friend this weekend is going to, this is a side note, but she's going to Bicester Village. Her agency's taking her out to Bicester Village. They're giving everyone gift cards just to go shopping. I also don't need to be, you know, getting wasted every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday in agency. But then when you go client side, you've got you can get some really cool client side stuff, obviously people we've spoken to, and then you stay and you go up with the company, and that's awesome. But there's also a point where like, do you stay now? Is it worth it? Like, do you move to another company? You kind of got to stay a few years to get in there. Like I was even trying to get a CMO position once, and my boss was like, you've got to do another year, you've got to do this. And then I waited, then I did it, and then I like went to another, and then I just started my own thing after it. So I think like, it depends. I don't know. At the moment,
there's so many routes, isn't there?
So many routes.
How can you do it? But also, it's how quickly you want to do it. Because if you're in
some
small
CMOs
company,
are like late 20s at the start with a small business.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, when they started the business, like when startups.
They go to a startup.
Yeah,
they join as a marketing exec, marketing manager,
which I think is amazing. That can be sometimes really luck, which goes like.
But you can't plan that though.
Yeah,
if you go in a really large company, FMCG, you know, global, how long is that going to take you?
Ages.
Do you need to be there for 15 years?
I mean, some people I see, I'm like, that was like 15 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean, 15 years to get
But if you're happy and you love the brand, then sure. But for me, I can't do that. Like, I can't be in somewhere for 15 years unless it's like super challenging, like
But you can do what you said, you can move. So
you can move,
that helps with getting bigger salaries, but also better job titles. But then when you're there, if you're going from a head of marketing, from a marketing director or head of marketing to a CMO, how do you navigate all those different industries and different departments?
Makes me laugh when you're like trying to go for a job and then your boss is the person you want to replace, and you're like, hey, so I need to get promoted, but you're not going anywhere.
So like I need to go.
So
that's the feedback that we got.
People are basically like, well, okay, so I need to go, and I think that's fine. You know, people.
RIP. So sad.
But sometimes what's really interesting at the moment, a lot of people are making themselves redundant. They've done that much of a good job, but obviously they've got a cost cut. And they've got such a weighty salary that they're having to cost cut themselves, which is really strange.
That's rough. I mean,
it does happen though.
Sad.
But but that's the other thing. I suppose it goes back to once you get to CMO, you have to make some really difficult decisions, and that could include.
And that's happening at the moment. So it's not. So all these people are coming from the creative, as you said, it's really exciting. You get to CMO, and they're basically saying, well, at the moment, particularly, you need to cut costs by 20% on the headcount because of incoming NI increases.
Yeah,
so they're
I think people don't they sugarcoat the CMO job, but then you get into it, it's like really lonely and you don't really have anyone to turn to, which is hence why you've got your little DLC club. So everyone talks to each other. I know, big plug. But it's really lonely and really hard. And then people talking about it, and you said the average tenure is like sometimes 18 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Average,
so you're already in the job and you're looking for another job.
That's exactly
weird,
how. Yeah, that's exactly what.
That's
people
why I think, like, obviously connections. Everyone's saying trying to get a CMO, whatever, but it's hard because you've got to be building a pipeline your entire career.
I know.
Yes.
That is wild.
And that comes down to networking. So the best CMOs are consistently networking.
Yeah, getting themselves out there.
But that's why you can't. It's a job in itself. So you've got to be like in your current job, then being out there, but not actively out there.
Yeah.
So I think the interesting one then after that, which not everyone talks about, and I'm like going to a lot of forums on, is going to NED after that and like being in a CMO position plus being a non-executive director.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that.
People can only really balance one NED position if they're in a CMO role. That's what they say.
Because I've got one girl that like I'm going to plug and talk about this company because I actually think it's amazing. It's
what they're called?
Netta. I actually feel like she's going to love it if I did that just then. But I actually am like...
What do they do?
They are essentially advising people. There's a few advising ones that are called like Connected and stuff like that. You've got Connected. Yeah. I'm plugging them as well. But I was actually going to work with them. And then I was like, actually, maybe not. I'm going to suss out the scene and see what the other... They kind of like give you training in certain areas, right? Where you might want to upskill because the biggest challenge people say in the boardroom is imposter syndrome. Like people don't want to say anything because they don't know if they're saying the right thing.
Yeah, and they don't know look silly.
They pretty much get you board advisory stuff. Obviously, like you guys would as well. But she also trains a lot of women in the... in that area trying to get a board advisory role in any industry. And she was like, the big thing at the moment is a lot of people are hiring NEDs because sometimes you don't pay and you get like people do pro bono, but a lot of young people, they want young people. So like she was like my youngest, my role I got as a NED was 27. And she was like, that's people, she said most males you would find when you ask them, assuming that they should be 40s and 50s by the time they're a non-executive director. But actually, she was mentioning that a lot of younger females should be in that space. They want people in like sustainability. They want people in all these different industries. So anyway, so she's now been like, a lot of people are getting on lots of boards. Some people are doing 5. She said she's doing 8.
But but do they have a day job?
That's her full time. She said if you've got a full time job,
you can do it full time. If you're doing a full time job,
you can do 3 maybe. But like, obviously, if you've got one that's, probably don't tell your company you're doing. Don't not tell your company. Yeah. Anyway. I think it's an interesting world. It's an interesting world at the moment because a lot of people are trying to understand and get into it. There's a lot of companies that are like taking money from you to just learn about being a NED. And you don't know if they're a scam or not.
Do they actually do that? So people are teaching people how to
Oh, but they're not giving you actually proper... No, there's ones. I know them because I get approached. Like you get approached. And so you go through the process and then you can feel it's like a real sales thing.
But if you're a client, would you want somebody who's been coached to NED? Or would you want someone to be thrown into the deep end or someone who's already an NED for a different business?
It depends. I don't know. You don't really... it's like anything, right? With the job. It's like a job. But people say you need a separate CV for it. You need a separate experience. You need to build up your portfolio, which is why you do pro bono at the start, like free stuff. Yeah. And then they train you for free. Like doing trusts and stuff is like charity ones.
I think it should be on the same CV. It should be on the... But
you think it's the same CV?
Yeah.
Oh, I get told separate.
I wouldn't because... The people that we represent, but the people that, if we see it on a CV, it's like, it's everything, isn't it? This is the transformational work that I've done. This is my permanent gig. This is the other transformational. Yeah. All of it is relevant. But do you think you have to have an NED gig if you're a CMO? Is that like just hand in hand?
No, but I think it complements you, It
just helps bring in some extra money,
and then plus, it gives you more connections.
And more connections.
And then they either hire you with something else or advisory, and then like they'll use your services or whatever, etc. So, but it's hard to get. Everyone says hard to get your first one, which is why there's a lot of. I was just chatting to her because businesses are being set up in the UK now for advising people for NED stuff because the UK's never really pushed it. The US, it's like enormous.
Yes,
they're ahead of it.
Yeah,
they're way ahead.
The UK's never really, which is interesting. And the salaries she was telling me about this were like totally different. Like, this is not my area, so obviously like you guys are salaries and stuff. But she was saying the UK, the US, you can get about 300K for a NED role.
Bloody hell.
And you might be doing 1 or 2 times a month of work.
Yeah.
And then, again, correct me if I'm wrong, the UK might be 60 to 80.
Yeah, it depends how much value you're going to give.
Which is interesting. The US values it way more, whereas the UK doesn't.
That's true, yeah.
Which is why it's like it's becoming an up-and-coming market, but the US, it's like it's obviously really fundamental.
It's super big.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, we digress. But I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, and I think with the CMO side of things as well, it's almost like you have to get people training. So you have to I suppose, not be the nice guy. You can only learn
that on the job, though, can't you? By going through those trials and tribulations and those pain points of, hiring a bad hire, going through like so many different things.
What do you think about the MBA thing? Having an MBA as a CMO.
Who cares about education? Really?
It's like,
oh my god, nice. That's a great statement.
No, but it is. It's like, oh, that's nice. But I think in this country,
more on jobs.
No, my experience is important in this country.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But if you've seen that, there is a turning point with education. So because you can get a degree, we can get a degree just like down the road really nowadays. There's so many universities, so many degrees.
Online, you can get it online as well.
But what matters most is the top universities. If you come top
of
your class,
that's a different thing.
What certain degree have you actually got? But other than that, it is literally about experience. So
but that's in this country, because in the US, like we were talking about that,
and France,
you have
everyone has got to go to business school.
You have to go to business school. You have to have these degrees. The MBAs are super important.
Not everyone can afford it, which I think is that's the hard part.
The accessibility, what is it, 30,000 a year?
Oh, no. I was going to do one. I really wanted to go to NCAD, so I studied and then didn't do it, started my business. And it's about 100K, 200K.
What's that for?
For an MBA.
So you're just in debt. You're just in debt for how long?
So you've got to also take the whole time off, the year. So you're out of the job. So you've also got to pay 100K and be out of a job. But then obviously you can, I was going to do it with work and have it, you get it paid and all that kind of stuff. So there's obviously, but then you're wedded to the company for the next 5 years.
Yeah. But also at the same time, any experience is good experience. Any learning is good learning. So you're going to get stuff.
When I was going to do it for, you have, my people I know did their MBAs are they built an entire new career. They met everyone at the end. You get hand-given jobs in the sense of not hand-given, but you kind of have conversations with good brands and whatever. So I think that's valuable, but never do it for a job. I mean, you guys never do it just for getting a job.
Yeah. I think in this country, it's just not, it's the experience.
It's the experience.
The
degree gets you the best graduate jobs like Unilever, PwC.
The brands are obviously.
But after that, it's the brands, it's the experience.
But if you do a grad scheme, but you also don't have to necessarily do a grad scheme.
No, you don't.
To get the
we can join an agency, like a marketing agency, then go client side like Ellie did.
That's what I think is the one thing that people love from the agency stuff I've done is they're like, cool, you've done 15 brands in one company, and then I can explain it in a portfolio, which is they're like, great, then you've done it. But also, you just said, you like seeing the brands.
I love seeing the brands.
Yeah.
So everyone, put your brands on your CV.
Definitely put your brands on the CV.
And if you're an agency, put your brands on the CV.
Honestly, I never really would see it when I was hiring people. I actually just see the Canva template and all that stuff.
When we do get people apply from agency experience, and there's no brands on the CV.
People they don't know that.
So you don't know.
Isn't it such a valuable thing?
It is.
I've never been told to ever do it.
You have to do it.
Because there are some companies.
I can't even remember what I did.
Yeah, because some companies might say, well, we want people. We could look at agency, but they need to have beauty brands. If you don't have your beauty brands on there, I'm just going to think, oh well, who?
I know. I just can't believe I never. But the thing is, we think we just work on them for maybe 6 months, and you move to the next one.
That's it.
That's the thing. But actually, no, it's so important. Yeah. But you might work on a client for 3 months.
Still,
but then they're you're a beauty expert, done. But it's so crucial. Yeah, I agree. Putting it on there.
So what we're saying is how to become a CMO. So what we said is good soft skills.
Yep.
So team management,
imperative.
Good connections, good networking.
Commerciality.
Working with a smaller business helps. So try and find a smaller business. But people can do that now. If you're in your 30s and you're head of digital, 40s, whatever.
You can go back and you can go sideways.
You can go sideways and then just think about how it's going to help you in 4 or 5 years' time. MBA. Up to you guys. You can swerve the cost.
MBAs. We're not being sponsored by any.
And then, financial skills. Understanding. I think understanding how the board speaks.
Yeah,
and
how
even
the business
get close
owner
with
speaks.
finance. I think there's obviously a lot of people wanting to get to the CMO position,
exactly.
right? Speaking to in my old previous jobs, I was I want to be a CMO, blah blah blah. At least give me the experience, or here's all the options. I'm thinking if they're not going to promote you, here's all the options on a table of if they want you to stay in the company, okay, then maybe can I do a course on this? Can I get these soft skills? Can I go? Versus when my team would be I want to get promoted, and I'm well, I need you to come with the solutions. If you're ahead of something, I think you should say this is where I want to get to. At least give me the training, give me the fundamentals. If you're not going to get that from your boss, milk it out of the company. I think.
And I think if you're in a smaller company as well, you can get close with the finance manager, the CFO. understand how the business runs. What are the expenses? You know, what are you spending on marketing, salaries, all the employers' NI, everything. Get to know everything.
That's what I mean. I would say it's crucial really was like being close with my finance team. Yes. And they actually had my back in meetings, and they were like, why don't you get Ellie to do this? That positioned me even more to the CEO. So I was like, I think that's such a good point, is being good mates, go and have a beer with the people from finance.
Because there's always like a bit of a kind of, you know, fight almost between marketing and finance, or marketing and, I don't know, it could be HR.
My best one was when we were worked together and we were mates. And they had respect
with
for
finance, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
CMO is a T-shaped marketer, isn't it, really, if you're coming from one channel?
It's T-shaped these days.
So I reckon the best two areas is probably brand or performance to get to CMO.
Performance, all the way.
Performance and brand.
Like, I think you can't even split them. You should be combining. Everyone expects both.
Yeah, you have.
But they're the top two.
Everyone expects both now, though.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy because, like, even some of the work I'm doing at the moment, and you're like, they're expecting you to know every single 15,000 channels. Of course, but you know, you haven't been a brand marketer for 15 years, then a performance marketer for 20 years. And you're like, so I think it's a bit crazy, but as long as you can know how to manage all the agencies, know what a good strategy looks like.
Hold them to account, manage
know how to build good teams and know how to measure and commercially look at the numbers.
100%.
Yes. Yeah. But you can't have worked in a PR agency and brand agency. It's like, you can't do it all. Crazy.
No. Another thing that I've heard as well.
I've done it. Just kidding.
Like, especially if it's a sort of smaller company, something that I've heard is basically spend the money like it's your own. So then you can, and then you can work with the founder, literally sort of.
But they would love you for
hand
that.
in hand.
They would literally adore you.
Yeah, the zero. I always do 0.01 or something on like that. They're like, Ellie, you should not be putting the 2 decimals in. Like every P counts. It stresses me when like you're overspending something. Yeah, I agree.
But exactly. Every penny counts. So I think if you're hand in hand with the owner, the founder, treat it like it's your own money.
Yeah.
Happy days.
But for everyone's listening, if you want some training to know how to be a CMO, how to be a really good CMO, give Ellie a shout.
That's really nice.
Or if you're recruiting a CMO, give me your Sarah account.
Account?
An account.
And a WhatsApp.
Give me and Sarah our WhatsApp.
Okay, cool. Should we do our Spitfire 60 seconds? 1, 2, 3.
How can we?
Jack.
What's the digital tool you can't live without?
Monday.com.
Okay, mine is QuickBooks.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's a digital tool.
ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yep. Okay, next question.
If you had to pick one platform to market on, which one would it be?
Paid search.
Klaviyo. I love email.
Okay,
any email tool.
Yep.
Yeah, so sure. Okay. Wait. What's the most important trend in digital marketing right now? It's got to be AI.
Content creation.
Content creation.
Oh, yeah, and content creation.
Yeah.
And I know we don't like community, but community content. So not just from influencers.
Yeah, community. Yeah, cool.
Biggest challenge in digital marketing today?
Budgets. Spending. Like the biggest challenge is how can you get your best bang for your buck at the moment?
I think stretched marketing teams trying to get too much from one individual.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to try and do a different one. National insurance for some of the big companies.
Oh, you love that. Yeah.
Because it's just shaving big chunks of money from the profit.
Stripping profit.
Yep.
Most underrated marketing channel?
Reddit.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, Reddit.
Reddit. No one said Reddit. Yeah. It's huge at the moment.
Influencer marketing, hit or miss? I think 100% hit, but we need to, let's get some real people.
Yeah,
I can't necessarily, I don't want to take skincare advice from someone, you know, a hell of a lot younger than me.
10 years old, yeah.
There's
actually a lot of 10-year-olds
so with the let's get relatable influencers, and that is really important.
Quick question.
Last one. Quick question, Sarah.
Quick questions.
Oh, quick questions. Paid ads or organic reach?
Both. Together.
Yeah, both.
Work better.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Do you stalk your competitors?
No.
Actually, yeah, you have to. You have no choice in your job. Yeah.